Hey guys, Scott from Performance. I'm going to tell you a bit more about our X3 billet front diff, some of our assembly procedures. I'm going to show you a little bit about how we assemble the differentials, some of the quality checks we go through, and some of the procedures involved in assembling these differentials. We're going to run you through some of the tools that we made available to our resellers and our service agents. You can see behind me we've got another dozen diffs to go out the door. Customers ask us sometimes, how can we possibly build 12 differentials per day on a regular basis? And we're just going to show you some of the tools that we use to speed up that process. Right, so every diff that we assemble, whether it be a Yamaha diff, Can-Am, trophy trucks, etc., we manufacture a wide range of assembly tools and measurement devices. This time for the Can-Am diff, we manufactured a bunch of these in a batch, so our service agents and our resellers can actually service the differentials in the field. So I'm going to run through some of the tools. We don't use hammers and punches and whack things in, so here's an example of a bearing press. Bearing goes onto the pinion. We've got a dedicated press tool. It fits exactly on there and presses that bearing down onto the pinion very accurately. So that's a bearing pinion press. That's one that we've made. That'll be available to all the resellers. The pinion seal tool, this one here, the pinion seal goes into here and it gets put into the press and pressed into the pinion housing. And then we have the pinion housing bearing press. This is a double-ended press. It takes the small bearing for the pinion right down into the bottom here. And you can flip it over, put it into the press and use the opposite end to press in the bearings for the pinion. Now all of these presses are made to be as productive as possible. Every single press is calculated in our CAD software, knowing the height of our press tools. You set the press to one height and every single tool, when it goes into each of the components, is right next to the press. That's very, very quick. So that's the pinion press tool. We have obviously a tool to put all the bearings into the carriers and the cases, so end plates. So there's a very large tool, again, very long tool, because when that sits in the press, it sits in here and again lines up to the bottom of the press. And then we have the end plates, and then of course we've got a tool to press on the bearings onto the spool here, straight onto the spool. And then we have all these special tools that we manufacture. We cut all these splines that go directly into the ring gear carrier. That allows you, one, to tighten up all of these bolts. You can hold that in a vise when we machine the flats on it. That goes in a vise. You can torque up all the ring gear bolts. And then when the diff's being assembled, you can actually use the same tool straight into the side of the ring gear carrier, and you can monitor and measure the torque to rotate that's used to actually calculate the preload on the bearings. So the torque to rotate tool, pinion presses, carrier bearings. There's a press for the carrier seals. Basically, there's a press to put everything together and a press to take everything apart. There's tools to measure the preload, etc. So we've gone to a great deal of trouble making sure that these press tools are available to all our guys across Europe and in the USA. So we can see here, this is our production line of all of our press tools. We've made 6 of each of these press tools for different locations around the world. We do them in a bit of a production run while we set the CNC machines up. Pinion presses, carrier presses, press tools, bearing presses, etc. And these tools will be available to our service agents as they require them. So when you assemble the diffs in Australia here, we export them to the US. Our service agents can use the same tools that we use to assemble them as fast as possible, but making sure the bearings are pressed in exactly straight, exactly where they need to be, and you get the same tolerance in different parts of the world than you get when we build them here in Australia. One of the things that our customers always complain about is trying to hold these yokes and being able to tighten up the pinion nuts. Obviously around between 200 and 500 foot-pounds depending on the size of the diff. So one of the things we manufacture are these quick change pinion yoke tightening systems. So we have a little device here that we can push back. We can pull the carrier out, the yoke away from the jig, quickly put it on here, tighten up the yoke nut, and then pull this back away, put another one in. So just another way of making our systems of assembly as fast as possible. We should probably call it the quick change nut tightening system. But again, one of the things we've developed in-house to be able to speed up our assembly process. Now, every differential, whether it be a trophy truck diff, our Yamaha diffs, our Ultra 4 gear, and of course all the Can-Am diffs, a bit new to the Can-Am guys, everything that goes out of our workshop here is attached with a laminated assembly sheet. It runs through all the specifications of the differential, all the things that our techs have to do about, so the ring gear bolt, the gear mesh pattern, what the torque of the preload on the carrier bearings is, the torque of the bolts, whether Loctite's been applied, oil pumps have been installed, O-rings, etc., right down to the final torque to rotate. So when the diffs go out the door, we use a very, very fine torque wrench, and we rotate the entire pinion assembly. That measures the complete torque to rotate of the diff. They're signed and dated, we laminate them, and on the back of each of the test certificates is all the information about the differential. So everything you need to know when you're servicing it, the ring gear, the carrier bolt preload, the carrier bolt torque, the pinion preload, the carrier preload, what sort of oil you should use, and what these yokes are, so you can buy the yokes overseas. So again, that comes in the installation when you receive your differential. So guys, really looking forward to getting this next batch out the door, and we'll see them running around King of Hammers. I think there's some going over to Germany, Spain, Slovakia. There's a lot of race teams around the world that have been looking forward to having these things in. So looking forward to seeing them in the US as well. Thanks guys.